Hey guys, welcome to my Fatal Core intro video. I've actually been playing a ton of this game over the past month on stream, so I wanted to make a little bit of an intro video for you guys to give you a brief overview on the economy as well as how the game works. This game is actually played only on the web browser, so you're able to log in from anywhere and you don't need to worry about downloading anything. When making an account, all you have to do is put in a password and a screen name. It doesn't even ask you to put in an email or verify or anything like that. So it is extremely low pressure. All right, now that we're in the game, we actually can take a look at some of the things that we have on the opening screen. So first it's gonna pop up with any specific announcements or anything like that. Right now they have a special event based on the amount of ranked games we have. They will increase the foil drop rates in the packs. So there's constantly stuff like this going on where they're increasing rarity drop rates as well as foil drop rates in packs based on special events. This game is actually insanely community driven. They have a very active Discord where all the devs and creators are always in there talking, playing matches. They're working on balancing. They have their own tournament system. They have an invitational where everybody can jump in and join and qualify for. Hands down, this is the most community-oriented card game I've ever played. But before we talk any more about that, let's actually talk a little bit about the economy, because I know most of my viewers, we are very economy driven, we are very EV driven. So the game is great, but one of the things that I think a lot of you guys will really like about this game is the fact that you actually cannot purchase packs. The game is entirely free to play and is only funded through the community Patreon. So coming from other card games where communities have been seen to be predatory in practice or just pumping people full of cosmetics to try to maximize every single dollar they possibly can, it is a breath of fresh air to come to a game like this and see how much of an interest they have in the community itself, as well as being able to be inclusive for all players. So one of the cool things is that you actually gain about a half a pack worth of currency every day that you own an account, even if you don't log in. So I would recommend, if you are interested in playing the game but don't think you're going to try it right now, make your account. It's just a screen name and a password. Make sure you get to that opening screen and then your account will start accruing those packs. Like I said, every day is about a half a pack. You log out for 10 days, come back, you get 5 packs, right? So definitely worth making an account if it's something you think you will be interested at any point. You also earn in-game currency for playing matches, either against real people or even against the bots. That currency is called PF, and you can take a look at it here when you go to buy packs. You will have a PF balance here, mine is 700. The EF is just fractional PF, and the reason you would use that is actually for the in-game auction house that's just player to player, that allows players to trade, buy, sell cards that they have extras of, which is really cool. So if you open a, S tier card, which is the legendary or mythic of this game, then, it's for a class you don't think you'll need, sell it on the auction house, and then buy cards you actually think you will use. So here we are on the auction house. This shows all of the cards that are up for sale. Actually, I noticed this first one here is by one of my viewers. How you doing, Yanks? So now we have the fractional PF that can come into play here. This is like a regular auction house, just like World of Warcraft or any other game you might have used this kind of system. You can look up cards here by class, which is just the character that you play in the game, which has special abilities similar to like a Hearthstone character, but with a completely different feel. You can also look up the cards by rarity under their class. And again, this is a great way for you to maximize your collection either by selling extra cards or attaining cards that you need for your decks. One of the things I've noticed is that only the S tier cards are really worth anything, and even then they're usually worth only like 2 to 5 packs worth of in-game currency. Everything else, the commons, uncommons, A, B, or C tier cards are basically pennies. 4% of a pack for this is the highest one under the C tier here. So again, super easy, very friendly if you are just starting, and it doesn't take much time at all to make premium S, top tier decks. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about is how you actually build your decks. Another reason why someone can jump into this game and build a competitive deck reasonably quickly is because the decks actually limit the rarity of cards. So you have a maximum amount of S tiers, A tiers, and B tiers. In like Magic, where you can just front load all of your cards in mythics and your land base is like all rares, and the decks get very expensive very quickly. Unlike that, here in this deck, or in this deck builder, you actually have a limit to each kind of card that you can have. So as you can actually see here on the right hand side, this is the outline for your deck. The deck can only have 3 S tiers, 4 A tiers, and so on, increasing in the amount of cards you're allowed to have based on the rarity level. This also has a lot to do with power level as well. So coming into the game, you're really only going to have 3 expensive cards potentially in your deck, which makes it super easy to sell one and buy another. Again, you know, the S tier on the auction house are only being sold for like 2 to 5 packs worth of currency, so it's actually really cheap to buy a full collection. All right, just like other card games, every card has a different type of ability. It's actually quite complicated. There is a turn system in the game where the cards are played simultaneously, but they resolve in different orders. So it's very unique, but the card abilities are very similar to what you might find in a lot of other card games. What is most unique about the game is, unlike Magic, where everything is split into specific color orientations, or unlike Hearthstone, where you have class-specific cards and everything revolves around your class's hero power, this actually is really cool in that each hero has a specific board setup. So that being said, the game is played on a 2x3 grid. We have 6 different heroes that all have different grids with different stats and abilities on them. You can see this hero has just only stats, increases or minuses, they're kind of balanced, to affect the creatures they play on the board. But if we look at a character like, let's say, Hush, for example, they have 2 abilities on their graveyard, or on their board, called Graveyard. These interact very well with their class-specific cards. A lot of their cards want corpses on the board, which is what the graveyard positions produce. Another really interesting one that you will find on some cards themselves, but also on the prisoner board, and that's Mana Magnet. Mana Magnet acts as a counterspell for any spell played, but that counterspell is attached to a creature. It's really, really interesting and unlike anything I've seen in any other game. So if I play a creature with Mana Magnet, the next spell my opponent plays gets eaten by the Mana Magnet creature and the Mana Magnet creature gets exiled. So it doesn't stay on board, and you don't get the permanent perk of a body, but it's like playing a face-up trap card, kind of like a Yu-Gi-Oh reference, but your opponent sees it, so they know at some point they're gonna have to play a spell to remove your Mana Magnet creature. This character actually has a permanent Mana Magnet space on their board, which means any creature played in that space actually has Mana Magnet. So this hero could be very difficult for people to deal with if they're playing a very spell-heavy deck. All right, enough about the stats and abilities and economy. Let's go ahead and jump into a game so I can give you guys a little bit of a review on how the gameplay works, and we'll go from there. Also, guys, real quick, at the end of the video, I'm going to be giving you guys a perk. There's a way for you guys to earn 30 free packs if you decide to check out the game. And I can tell you right now, 30 free packs is more than enough to get you guys going on some competitive decks. So at the end of the video, I will mention how you guys can get those. All right, let's go ahead and jump into a game. I'm actually gonna just go ahead and play a bot match so that way we can take our time to explain some things. I'm gonna pick a hero that is very different from the one that I'm gonna be playing. Let's go ahead and play the graveyard guy we were looking at before. I'm going to play my buff deck, which doesn't have much going on except for creatures. The board is just basic. So the really interesting thing about this is I find it very similar to like 7-card stud for poker, in that some of your cards are face up and some of your cards are face down. In your opening hand, you can mulligan just like any other game. You do mulligan the entire hand, unlike some games, but there's no penalty, but you can only do it once. The other cool thing is that you can actually hide 2 of your cards in your opening hand. The rest is face up. Your opponent has open knowledge to it. Throughout the game, you're allowed to hide 1 additional card and no more. So only 3 hidden cards. Everything else your opponent can see and try to anticipate, but that's part of the game. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and decide to hide my Bomb, my Alicia, as well as my removal spell. I might hide the Spell Thief normally, but because we have 2, we can't really hide them. So again, I know you guys probably won't know what these cards do, but as I play them, I'll try my best to explain them, give you guys a brief overview. And if you are more interested in the game, I'll put a link into the Discord as well so you can ask any questions. And we've been playing a ton in stream, so you guys can always check it out live. All right, so the way the game is played is each player actually plays a card simultaneously, and they resolve in different orders. So you actually make your choice, and your opponent doesn't know which one it is. you can look at their hand based on what they have in open info and try to guess. And again, that's part of what is really cool and interesting about the game. So I have this turn 1 on the Hunt card, which is one of my S tier cards, and it's really good early. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that. So my opponent simultaneously played a removal spell, but because I didn't play a creature, the removal spell fizzles. It doesn't hit anything because both spells resolve at the same time. So actually, creatures are resolved first and then spells. So if I had played a creature, my opponent would have been able to hit that creature with their removal spell. So now at the end of the turn, we draw another card. We get to decide whether we would like to hide or show this card. We can only hide one, so we need to use it sparingly. This is not a very good removal spell. I know I hid one in the opening hand, but we didn't have great options. So I'm gonna go ahead and show this and hide a better option. Our opponent has drawn a really strong removal spell. This deals 7 damage to an entire row. It's not great now, it'd be like a 1-for-1, but still not worth letting them hit us with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and play a Spell Thief. The Spell Thief is really strong. It's a body itself that will also deal 3 damage every turn to a random hero, and it will hit their face and cancel out a spell when they play it. So I played the Mana Magnet creature, it resolves first. You can see my opponent actually played a spell, so the Mana Magnet creature eats the spell, they both go away, and the Mana Magnet creature didn't do anything else for the turn. It didn't deal the 3 damage, and it didn't hit the face because those things resolve after the spell resolves. All right, so we drew another card. I'm gonna go ahead and show this one too, but it's a pretty good card early, so I'm actually gonna go ahead and play it and see what happens. All right, our opponent has played the Swim card. This is actually designed, I think, after another streamer. I don't actually know what it does. They have a log button to show you the last couple of cards as well. So it can't be played till turn 3. Exchange all fields with your opponents. Interesting. So now we have graveyard. We have 2 graveyard things. They've stolen our board, which is really interesting. I've never seen that card played before. All right, so now we have a pretty strong board state. We have 11 damage coming in. They've got nothing coming in. So they're gonna have to make some sort of drastic swing. So I can see that they've got this really big removal spell that deals 8 damage. I thought it was 7 to the creatures in the row. So I'm gonna go ahead and just play my other Mana Magnet in hopes to protect these creatures. They didn't play anything. Spell-wise, so my creatures do their thing. Something to note is that most creatures just attack face. So my Spell Thief, for example, will always just attack face, with the exception of creatures with the ability called Hunt. Hunt actually changes the target and has your creature attack their most powerful creature, and they don't take damage back. The only difference is that damage is rather assigned to their creature as opposed to their player. All right, so we are on turn 5. We are in a great situation. We played an easy bot, to be fair, but we've got a board and we've got a Mana Magnet on board, which means they can't even cast a spell to remove our creatures. So we are sitting in a perfect spot here. I'm gonna go ahead and play our bomb, which actually boosts and will make our creatures bigger every turn. They give 2 creatures +2/+2, making it incredibly hard for our opponent to kill them and get caught up. They used this turn to erase our Mana Magnet, which I would assume means I now no longer have protection for my big creatures here. So we need to go ahead and start looking for replacement creatures. I'm gonna go ahead and play the Vengeful here. He will remove my graveyard spaces, which actually doesn't really matter because at the end of the turn, the graveyard spaces will come back. But it's really the only creature we had. So I play the creature, my opponent plays the removal spell resolves, and then creatures assign damage. So these corpses in my spaces on my board actually don't go away until you remove them with other creatures or spells, that's what this creature did, and that's what this spell will do. But the exception is we actually have these weird graveyard squares, which we don't start the game with. Our opponent actually put them there, which makes things very awkward for us because I can't remove them because it takes the entire turn to remove them, and at the end of turn they respawn in the graveyard square. So I'm gonna go ahead and just play this one, which will deal damage to opposing creatures based on the number of Corpses I have are Alicia does her thing, increases the stats on our Vengeful. And then creatures do damage and resolve accordingly. I'm going to play Scatter Shot, which will deal 6 damage spread out randomly. So I kill their creature, they kill one of my creatures, and the turn kind of ends there. We're close to killing them though, they're at 5 health. So we just need to finish the game here. So I play a creature, Alicia resolves, buffing my creature to 5 power, and then our creature will deal damage, go face, getting our opponent to 0. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the game, you actually get PF for your first games of the day. I've already played a bot game today, so I get a little less PF for that match, but you do get some every time. It's 30 for the first match, and more for player versus player matches. But you can technically farm the bots, which is really cool. Again, guys, I know that's a lot to take in, and there are a ton of abilities and different types of creatures, and I just wanted this to be a brief intro to the game to get you guys started. If you have any questions, feel free to post them down below in the comments, and myself and the devs will be checking those comments out and doing our best to answer them. I'll also put a link to the game. Again, it's just a web browser game, so you don't have to worry about downloading anything. And I'll put a link to their Discord as well. Again, it's super active and all the devs are in there and happy to answer any questions. If you guys do decide that you want to check out this game, please post a comment with your username. And the devs said within a week that, a week of this video coming out, they will be checking them and putting enough PF on everyone's account for 30 free packs. That's huge. It's a great way to start your collection, and you will have more than enough to build some competitive decks. With the economy being entirely free to play, 30 packs goes a really long way. You can sell some of those things on the auction house and make money for the next set. Only 12 cards come out every 2 months, so it's super easy to keep up with, even if you're not playing much, because of that free PF that you earn on your account every single day, even when you're not logged in. All right, guys, that's it for this video. I'll put the links down below. Make sure you guys comment with your screen names so that way the devs can credit you guys those accounts, and post any questions you might have. I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. I'd like to give a special thank you to those of you who have signed up for our Patreon. Without you guys, none of this would be possible. This content is also sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. and KMC Sleeves. If you guys enjoyed the content, consider checking out the links below and using our discount codes. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.